And welcome to another edition of College Football Summer School for Football.com. My name is Aaron Morse, joined as always by Matt Phifer and Veair Green, talking about all the hot topics in college football. And the biggest hot topic right now, frankly, is Rutgers and Maryland, because we're recording this on a Monday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, July 1, they officially join the Big Ten. Veair, let's start with you. What do you think? Maryland Rutgers, their first year in the Big Ten, they got a couple of pretty experienced starting quarterbacks there. How do you think they'll do?
I think they're going to need all the experience they can get. I think it's going to be a rough transition period going to the Big Ten. I don't think they're used to the physicality. I love Ralph Friedgen at Rutgers. I think he's going to do some great things with the offense. I love the tight end they have, and Tyler Croft. I think he's going to be great in the Friedgen offensive system. But their schedule is tough. I'm looking at Maryland's November schedule, and I see Penn State, Michigan State, and Michigan. That's tough. And I'm also looking at Rutgers' October schedule. I see Michigan, Ohio State, Nebraska. In the first week of November, they have Wisconsin. So I'm looking at both of these teams, and I see maybe 5 or 6 wins. It's going to be a tough first year for them.
Matt, either of them making a bowl game in your opinion?
Maryland might make a bowl game. I mean, Maryland definitely. But the thing with Maryland is they've had trouble the past 2 years staying healthy. So if they're healthy, they might have enough athleticism to sneak their way into a bowl. But if they're going to do it, it's only going to be as a 6-6 team. Rutgers, I think, has a long way to go. I think the defense was torched last year in the American Athletic Conference. They gave up the most passing yards in school history. If you're doing that against the AAC, good luck in the Big Ten. I mean, you have to look, and I think Veair made a great point about that October-November schedule. That might be the meanest month in college football that Rutgers is going to be facing. So I would put Rutgers at maybe 3 or 4 wins at most.
All right, so it sounds like, according to our two experts here, Matt and Veair, it's going to be a rough ride for those new members of the Big Ten in football. Now, speaking of the Big Ten, Indiana came out with a student-athlete Bill of Rights, and it seems like this has been a common theme throughout college football. We heard about USC doing the guaranteed scholarships through all 4 years. Because of the O'Bannon trial, these schools are starting to make these reforms on their own, but this is kind of really just a kind of a gesture. It's almost too little too late. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's kind of odd when you look at the things that they're guaranteeing. The guarantee, a lifetime guarantee that you get a degree even if you leave early, the use of the Career Placement Center, and comprehensive medical examinations for walk-ons. Like, weren't those givens? Wasn't that something that should have been offered all along? Like, that shocks me that it took all of this, and you had O'Bannon trial for those to be things that schools like Indiana felt they should be giving these student athletes. I just think that should have been a given all along.
Veair?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think what they're doing, I think it's just adding to the case of Ed O'Bannon and say, hey, look here. I mean, they were wrong. Now they're trying to correct it. But to your point, Aaron, I think it's too little too late. Just in typical NCAA style, they're reactive, not proactive. I think they're hurting that case for coming out with all these different Indiana and how Phifer said with the USC and all these things. It should have been happening in the first place. I think they're hurting that case more, but it's definitely too little too late.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with the O'Bannon case. They expect to rule on it probably sometime in August, so we'll see, before the season starts perhaps. But now looking at a different topic, University of Miami was just cleared in a PED investigation as part of that scandal that Alex Rodriguez in baseball was caught up in. Miami was cleared. It was more of their baseball, track, and field, but that got me thinking about PEDs in college football and how it's never talked about. It's not really discussed as an issue, but this is football, guys. There's got to be something going on. Do we just expect our football players are probably using something, and so we just kind of ignore it? What do you think, Veair?
I think we kind of ignore it because I kind of think us as fans, as selfish as it sounds, I'm not going to say we want our favorite teams to be on steroids, but hey, if our favorite teams are doing a little illegal stuff under the table and they're 12-0 winning the national title, I mean, for us as fans, are we going to really complain? So, but I definitely think it's something bigger there. Definitely it's not just isolated to Miami, even though with the Alex Rodriguez and all that case tied in. It's just not in Miami. I think it's widespread, but like we're dealing with the NCAA. So they, like I said before, they're reactive, not proactive. So we'll see where it goes. But I don't think too much will happen from this.
Yeah, you make a good point about fans really not caring how the wins happen. I mean, if Alabama fans knew that steroids would guarantee a national title, they would personally deliver the syringes, I think, to Tuscaloosa. Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
I totally agree with you, too. I think it would be, I'll be honest, I think it would be naive to think that this is not happening at a lot of places. I mean, just look at the size of some of these guys. You can't say that all of that is 100% natural. You would tend to think there's something going on in a lot of these places. But, yeah, nobody seems to really care. I mean, we kind of know it happens in the NFL, too, and we don't really see much going on there with it either. So you would imagine it happens at the end. So
Matt has disappeared, but we will wrap things up here on College Football Summer School. Matt had to go somewhere. Veair Green, Matt Phifer, wherever he may be, thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.